It's 9 News Now with Amelia Adams.
Today on 9 News Now, inspirational, controversial, a political giant with a sharp wit. We look back at the life and career of one of Australia's greatest leaders, Gough Whitlam, who has died aged 98. How did they all survive a horror crash as a delivery truck ploughs into drivers? Also ahead, the little blue pill that's being used to treat hearts. Yes, it's that little blue pill. We'll meet Australia's very own bionic man who has a new foot created by a 3D printer. And we shake it all off with Taylor Swift in a one-on-one interview. But first today, Gough Whitlam created political history, leading Labor out of the wilderness in 1972, a whirlwind of reforms and controversy while in government, then his dramatic sacking less than 3 years later. Today, the nation is mourning the death of the 98-year-old, and many are lining up to praise the man and his achievements.
It's time to farewell Gough Whitlam, for old friends and old adversaries to voice their praises.
This is not a time for sadness. Gough was ready to go and his family was ready for him to go. Rather, it's a remembrance of a great life. In my judgment,
thank you.
No star has shone brighter in the Australian political firmament over the years than the star of Gough Whitlam.
He was a great parliamentarian. He was a great leader. He was a great Australian. And for so many of us, and it's what makes it so hard, he was a great friend and mentor.
His adversary back in the turbulent 1970s was, of course, Malcolm Fraser. Long ago, they buried the axe, and today there were only warm memories from Mr. Fraser.
Oh, it was a fierce political battle. And there were tense times, difficult times. Well, I don't think Gough I never felt he bore me personal animosity. I think he regarded that as politics.
Even after all the distant years of retirement and fading health, Gough Whitlam's presence has still permeated Australian politics and our national awareness.
The simple truth is that Australia is a better country because of the life and work of Gough Whitlam.
In Canberra, Parliament convened briefly, members from the top down paying their respects.
He represented a new way of thinking about government, about our region, about our place in the world, and about change itself. 1972 was his time, and all subsequent times have been shaped by his time. His government ended conscription, recognised China, introduced Medibank, abolished university fees.
It's time, Gough once told us, a phrase that captured the imagination of a nation. A rallying cry for change, for a confident, progressive, fair and modern Australia.
Many of Labor's senior figures today were drawn into politics by the Whitlam legacy.
Australia's lost a great man today, a great Labor leader who was a great Prime Minister. Gough Whitlam left a lasting legacy for Australia. He made his impact on our health system, on higher education, lowering the voting age, introducing laws to give Aboriginal people access to the land that they'd fought so hard for. We mourn today.
On a day of many great words about Gough Whitlam, there was also a silent tribute. Flags across the nation at half-mast for a man who served Australia at war, on the political battlefield and in the upheaval of so much social change.
And we'll go now to Kerry Axley, who is at Parliament House for us. Afternoon to you, Kerry. The tributes just keep coming in this afternoon.
Yeah, Amelia, over the past 2.5 hours, we've seen politician after politician stand up in the House of Representatives to pay their condolences and share their memories and thoughts of Gough Whitlam. We've heard from Bob Hawke and Malcolm Fraser, but other former Prime Ministers have also been paying tribute. Paul Keating, who very briefly was actually a member of Gough Whitlam's government, wrote, "Gough Whitlam changed the way Australia thought about itself and gave the country a new destiny, a more inclusive and compassionate society at home, a more engaged engaged and relevant country abroad. We've also heard from former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd. He's written, "This great man left an indelible mark on Australia, an indelible mark for the good, and Australia will always be the better for it." And Julia Gillard, who's currently overseas at the moment, has written, he is alive in our universities and the many lives he changed by giving free access to university education, my life included in that count, alive in Medicare and the uniquely Australian health system we now take for granted. And we have just heard from former Prime Minister John Howard. He has reflected on his memories of Gough Whitlam when he first came into Parliament in 1974, talking about his ready wit and also his passion for foreign affairs. And Amelia, Prime Minister Tony Abbott told the House that Gough Whitlam is proof that individuals do matter and can make a lasting difference to the country they love. Amelia?
Yeah, looking at some of that great old footage from the 70s as well. He did have so many achievements, many of them mentioned there, but also a lot of controversy.
Yeah, he was Prime Minister for just 3 years, but in those years there was an incredible amount of change, and some areas of that change were and I guess still are controversial. But today the focus has very much been on his achievements. For example, he brought the troops home from Vietnam, he abolished national service, he established a diplomatic relationship with China, he set up universal health insurance, equal pay for women, and was the architect, I guess, of the Aboriginal land rights, just to name a few of his many. I guess a lot of